Kenneth here again with the top 3 or 4 things I learned while creating the Shadow of Reality series. This is from episode 1. I'm not a professional animator, I'm just a hobbyist sharing the love with other hobbyists. So here we go. First, I reached out to a friend on YouTube who had the perfect song for this gritty skyline, at least I thought. His name is Netmaker. I want to give him a shout out. Thank you for contributing, man. As for the skyline, I didn't create it all by hand. I actually generated it using a plugin that was available to Blender at the time. That plugin is no longer available, but there are many that are still out there. These things will generate cities just like this. And you can take and texture on a UV map anything that you want, and you can come in and shape and mold the buildings, and that's exactly what I did, so that I could produce this type of alleyway scene so that I could introduce my main character. And here's the main character walking down the alleyway that I produced for him. So I placed several different cameras, a few different cameras in the alleyway, one on a rooftop and one inside of a robot that's on top of a rooftop. And the idea was to introduce this character. I was able to look at him walking from these different vantage points. At the time, I had no idea that walking was one of the bigger animation challenges. I guess ignorance is bliss, because that probably would have scared me right off if I'd known that. However, there's this walk designer in Poser, which is the tool that I use for most of my character animation. The walk designer is sweet because you have parametric controls over the personality of the person that you're animating. And you simply just tweak these sliders as you need to get the animation that you want. Maybe you want them to look a little bit more like an elderly person, or perhaps you want them to look a little bit more sexy. You can do whatever you want and then save out the walk design so that you can reuse it on your characters. I generally use the walk designer as a basis for the walk, but then I will tweak out individual little things in the animation so that the personality kind of comes out. And you can see here, this guy's kind of got like the ponytail thing going. And so I tweak each of those out with my own little keyframes. The next challenge that I had was trying to get this main character, who is a large human, in the same frame as a tiny robot here. You can see his little robot. I called him MyBot is the name. And the challenge was trying to get them both in the same frame from the vantage point that I've got. So the solution for this was to change the camera to a wide angle viewing camera. And in the process, I noticed a little bit of an oops. If you notice right here, there's these lines. These lines represent that this is a draft render. Next time I'll have to make sure that draft render lines don't show up in production. And I oop. Since this is sci-fi couldn't be complete without robots. So I had to design my own robot here. And this guy is called the MagDroid 2020, no relationship to MD 2020. Some of you may know what that is. This is an armature. I developed an armature. I had to learn how to do armatures and animate them. You can see this guy is a 6-legged creature, kind of with a torso, a neck, and a head. The thing about the MagDroid is he's magnetic. The idea is that his head floats above the base, which means that his neck actually doesn't show. So you can see here the head is kind of this camera that swings back and forth without any visible means. So his movements can be more fluid than a mechanical neck. I usually do most of my robotic mechanical work inside of Blender. And this guy presented a little bit of a challenge because his I-beam was a spotlight, and I just could not get the spotlight to render. I tried different atmospheric effects and things like that, and ultimately what I wound up doing was I created a cone, and I put a material on it, and then I put the spotlight in the cone and around the cone, and so this is the result. And then the little electric jolt here in the middle, that is a sphere that has the halo property turned on in Blender. And I tweaked it out until I could get the desired effect. Whoa, look at the time. All right, I didn't mean to go so long here. I'm going to go ahead and summarize. So the first thing that I learned that I talked about was the idea that finding great music, you can reach out to people and get great music. You'll find that people are willing to help you out. Cities, you can generate them. Walks, you can generate them. You can tweak anything that you generate. Trying to fit things into a shot, you can use a wide angle camera. Learn how to do armatures if you're going to do anything like mechanical robots. I think they're really easy to do. As far as specialized effects, using invisible objects, invisible armatures, translucent objects such as the cones and the spheres is also a way that you can do special effects with trick lighting. Many more things that I could probably share with you just in this episode alone, but I'm going to cut it short. I appreciate your time. I appreciate any feedback and advice and any workflow tips that you might be able to give us. And thanks for subscribing. Peace.